Hey YouTube, Matty's Day 12, Team JMT, coming to you guys with another discussion video, I guess. And like everybody else here recently, my discussion video is going to be on Mystical Refpanel. Now there's a lot of people that are just head over heels for this card right now, and I'm going to explain to you guys why I don't think you need to be that way. I don't think you need to be feeding into all of this hype for this card, and I'm going to teach you guys some ways that you can learn what hype you need to pay attention to and what hype you need to stay away from. So, let's talk about Mystical Refpanel first. It was like a $1.29 card just a couple days ago. Then all of a sudden, some people wanted it, said it was going to be great for the Prophecy matchup, said it was going to be perfect for the Dragon matchup, and all this hype, all this talk about it. So, it jumped from $1.29 to, I've seen it as high as $62. YuGiOh, right? In a matter of 2 days. So let's talk about what Mystical Refpanel actually does. This is the way the card reads. Activate only when a spell card that targets one player is activated. The effect of that spell card is applied to the other player instead. Very simple in how it's worded, yet very complex in how it's actually applied to the game. So, people are saying that it's good for the Prophecy matchup. That is a lie. It is not. It is not good against any of the stuff that Prophecy is going to use. People say that it's good for the Dragon matchup, and that is true. It is good for the Dragon matchup. You can use it on Sacred Sword. You can use it on Card of Consonance. You can use it on Trade-In if they're running the Blue Eyes version. You can use it on a lot of the draw stuff. Where they were mistaken about the Prophecy was players think that they can use it on Spellbook of Secrets. Steal your search. Well, you can't. Spellbook of Secrets affects the deck, not the player. So, you cannot use it on Spellbook of Secrets. You cannot use it on Reinforcements of the Army. You cannot use it on Emergency Ecall. You can, however, use it on Pot of Duality. And you say, now wait a second. If I can't use it on something that searches the deck and adds it to my hand, why can I use it on Pot of Duality that looks at the top three and adds it to my hand? That is the big difference. Pot of Duality reveals the top three cards, chooses one, and adds it to your hand. It does not search the entire deck. The player picks up the top three and looks at just those top three cards, chooses one and adds it to their hand. Now, if you guys want to understand that just a little bit better, I'm a part of one of the judge program. We have several Facebook groups that we're all a part of. One of them was started by Julia Hedberg, and I'm part of that group. And we're always posting questions and debates and everything on there. And like everybody else, the debates here recently have been about Mystical Refpanel and whatnot. So, one of these guys was kind enough to actually post a quote on what Mystical Refpanel is allowed to be chained to and what it's not allowed to be chained to. So I'm going to read you guys his comment. The question was, can Mystical Refpanel be chained to Spellbook of Secrets? The answer was no, it cannot, and there's a couple other people that explain why. And then this one guy does it the best way that you could possibly do it, and he literally finds a little paragraph that explains exactly what Refpanel can be used on and what it can't be. And I'm going to read that post to you now, or that comment to you now. Mystical Refpanel can be chained to cards that do the following. 1. Increase a player's life points. 2. Inflict direct damage. I'm going to skip number 3 because number 3 is the one I want to talk about. Number 4. Cause a player to discard a hand. Or number 5. Modify the action one player can take, such as Mesmeric Control. I don't know what Mesmeric Control does, but I'm assuming it does something with, like the actions that you can take, obviously. So it may affect like your main phase. You may not be able to use main phase 2 or main phase 1 or your battle phase or whatever. That's affecting the actual player. That's something that you can redirect. Now, number 3 is the one that was really key, and number 3 is the one that I want to talk about as far as the pot of duality is concerned. Number 3. If the effect is activated that allows one player to draw cards from the top of their deck to their hand, Mystical Refpanel can be used against it, can be chained to it. So, the reason Pot of Duality is different in its mechanic than Spellbook of Secrets is because Refpanel is allowed to be used against cards that add cards from the top of the deck to your hand. Now, the reason that is because you are just looking at the top cards of your deck. You are not affecting the entire deck. You are affecting just the top cards of their deck. You're revealing them and getting to choose one. You're not able to actually search through the entire deck and find one. Spellbook of Secrets affects the deck, not the player. Pot of Duality affects the player, not the actual deck. If that makes sense, you just stepped forward in Yu-Gi-Oh! So, how do we learn what hype to feed into and what hype not to feed into? Basically, the situation with Mystical Refpanel is that it is able to be used against draw cards and not other situation cards. Draw cards that affect players and not other situational type cards. So really, like, the only things you have to use it for is Cards of Consonance, 7 Sacred Sword of 7 stars. Yeah, you can use it for that kind of stuff, but you can't use it for some other things. So, take the ideal of a Mystical Refpanel, and let's go outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's think outside the Yu-Gi-Oh! Box. And this is what I did. I went to some of the Magic players in my area, and I said, hey, Mystical Refpanel jumped from $1.29, $2, to $60 overnight. 2 days. This is what it does. Are there any cards in the game of Magic the Gathering, that does similar things? And they said, yeah. First one they came up with was Redirect, and it does exactly that. Oddly enough, they named their cards rather appropriately in Magic the Gathering. Redirect. It costs 2 blue. Now, my Magic the Gathering knowledge is very, very slim. I understand part of the mechanics, but that's really about it. I believe it costs 2 blue to play. And literally, if a card is played that targets a player, a card, a permanent, whatever, you can redirect it to an appropriate target. That's literally what it does. Mystical Refpanel is not as good as Redirect, as strange as that sounds. Mystical Refpanel can only redirect, if you don't mind the pun, the effects that affect a player. The card Redirect in Magic can redirect a card that targets anything. Redirect is not getting any play at all. Or if it is, it's not very much at all. It's like a dollar card. If the guys are telling me correctly, it's like a dollar card. So it's not a very sought after card at all. But it can be used against anything that redirects, or against anything that targets. It can redirect. Now, Mystical Refpanel cannot do that. Mystical Refpanel's major use is going to be against the draw cards that the dragons are using. So that was my next question to them. Well, you see, Mystical Refpanel is not going to be used for everything. That's going to be used for stuff that really draws. Is there anything like that in Magic that's going to help us out, or that is comparable? So that way I know, do I really need to invest this money into this card? They say, well, yeah, there actually is. And they let me use one. Notion Thief. Notion Thief is a 4 cost. It is a black, a blue, and 2 mana. So it's a total of 4. And 2 of them are specific. It's a flash, which allows you to play it on your opponent's turn, which, like a trap. And what this card does, if an opponent would draw a card except for the first one he or she draws in each of his or her draw steps. So if he was to draw outside of his draw phase, draw step in Magic, draw phase in Yu-Gi-Oh. If he was to draw outside of his draw phase, instead that player skips that additional draw and you draw one card. I'm not for sure if this lasts for the length of the turn or if it is just for that one draw. Like I said, my magic knowledge is very slim. But let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that it lasts for the entire turn. So now anytime that I would draw outside of my draw phase, I get to negate that and I get to draw instead. However, if I play this card and I stop you from drawing and I get to draw a card, if it does last for the entire turn, you're probably going to stop. Mystical Refpanel doesn't have the ability to do that. That's kind of like a Draw and Lockbird effect. You're going to get to resolve your first draw if I drop Draw and Lockbird, but from that point on, you're not going to be able to draw without it being negated by Draw and Lockbird. So Mystical Refpanel is not as good as Draw and Lockbird, because Draw and Lockbird could affect it for the entire turn, forcing your opponent to shut down and not drawing the rest of his card, using the rest of his draw cards, and having to wait till the next turn, which gives you the opportunity to explode before they do. So Draw and Lockbird is better because it's a hand trap. It's not as slow because Mystical Refpanel has to be set first. So Draw and Lockbird's better. Mystical Refpanel allows you to draw 2 cards if they place 7 swords. So, I mean, that's kind of better. But here's the deal. When this card came out, when Notion Thief came out, it was extremely hyped. It was extremely overpriced. It got some play. This card was floating around $25 to $30 as a foil. When it first came out, was getting a lot of hype. People were talking about, I'm going to build a blue-black control, and I'm going to play this card, and I'm going to keep you from drawing. I'm going to play it against your Sphinx card, and it's going to stop it all off, and you're not going to be... I think that's what it was used for. I don't know. But yeah, they were like, I'm going to use this, and it's going to stop all your draw phase, and it's going to do all that, and I'm going to plus off of you, and I'm going to gain advantage. Isn't that what we're all saying right now about Mystical Refpanel? Kind of the same thing. When this card came out, this card was getting the same hype that Refpanel was. However, the issue I have right now, this card is like $4, $5 as a foil, maybe $6 at tops. I don't really know for sure, but this card is not worth the $30 that it was. Guys, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been buying cards, selling cards. I've been moving product for a long time in Yu-Gi-Oh. I've seen cards like this that'll jump up in price and are really not what I think they seem to be. These are cards that I don't feel like are going to live up to the hype. I don't feel like Mystical Refpanel is going to live up to the hype. This card is going to drop. This card is going to be a $10 to $15 card. Is it a good card to side deck for dragons? Yeah. Is it a good card to side deck for chain burn? Do I think it's worth the 2 slots, maybe 3 slots in your side deck that you would have used? No. I like Debunks better. Debunks, I feel like, would be a lot better card in your side deck because it can be used for the Dragon matchup. It can be used for some of the Rogue matchups like Bujin, Battling Boxers, Black Wings, stuff like that. Anyway, I feel like that and DD Crow. DD Crow's good. Check that card out. I feel like those cards are better side deck options than Mystical Refpanel. But here's what I want you guys to take from this video. Step outside your Yu-Gi-Oh box. If a card hits like Mystical Refpanel did and jumps from $2 to $60, and you really think, I need to jump on that bandwagon, I need to pick up that card, and I need to make sure that I have that card for my next regional, for my next YCS, for my next ARG Open, so that way I'm set, I'm ready. Before you go dump that money, step outside your Yu-Gi-Oh box and go talk to some of these guys that have played other card games. Go talk to some of these Magic the Gathering players like I did. and say, hey, there's this card. It does a certain thing. I think it's good. I think I want to use it. Are there any cards in Magic the Gathering that do similar things? How did they affect your meta? How did they do as far as pricing is concerned? Did they stay up? Did they go down? Did they shoot higher? Did they go through the roof? Did you have the chance to buy a dollar card and make infinite money because you just picked it up at the perfect time? Or did you decide, hey, I gotta have this card at $50, and next thing you know, it's a $10 card, which is what I think Mystical Refpanel will be shortly. So there you go, guys. There's my little insight and my advice to you guys on how to prepare yourself for these kind of jumps in prices and these kind of situations. I hope you appreciate it. Subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.